I am here today with Amy Marie Hann. We are going to be talking about her new book and about motherhood with ADHD. This one is for the mamas. So what are some of the tools that you use? What are some of the things that you can share with our listeners? Hey, what's up? This is Kristen Carder, and you've tuned into the I Have ADHD podcast. I am medicated, caffeinated, regulated, and ready to roll. I am here today with Amy Marie Hann. We are going to be talking about her new book and about motherhood with ADHD. I cannot wait to get into all of it. I wish I had had a resource like Amy when I was in the throes of motherhood and just trying to navigate ADHD and really not having the resources that I needed or the support. And so this one is for the mamas. And if you are a mother, if you want to become a mother someday, if you have a mother, if you love a mother, this episode is for you. We're going to get into all of it. I cannot wait for you to join us and to just hear Amy's perspective on life, on motherhood, and all of her helpful advice that can allow you to navigate the mundane parts of motherhood that are just difficult and even, shall we say, exacerbated just a teeny tiny bit with ADHD. So thanks for joining us today. Let me read Amy's bio for you. So Amy is the author of the book, Master the Mundane, How to Manage Your Life, Home, and Family as a Mom with ADHD. ADHD has touched every area of her life. She herself was diagnosed at the age of 5, and her 3 kids, husband, dad, and sister are also ADHD. She's also fostered, adopted, and homeschooled kids with ADHD and brings a wealth of personal experience, authenticity, and relatability to everything she creates. Amy, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you traveling all the way from Florida. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
This is so fun. I love being able to sit down and just, yes, talk as colleagues and professionals, but mostly just like mom to mom. This journey is not for the faint of heart. Like, this is not easy. And navigating ADHD within yourself is a chore and a job, but then helping those in your household to also navigate their own is just like turns up the volume a ton. What's that been like for you?
Complicated.
Yes. Oh my
but
gosh.
also really motivating. I think for me, so my story is unique because I was diagnosed as a child, but we really knew so little information then. So I was diagnosed at 5. I was really medicated most of my life. I consider that myself incredibly fortunate. But it was really kind of a school and work thing. That was my perception. I thought like, okay, if I take my medicine, and I also was the kind of kid that likes school. But if I took my medicine, I'm gonna do well in school. It got way more complicated when I, became a professional. But still, there was still so much we didn't understand. And I think for me, once my kids were diagnosed, it really motivated me to lean in and learn more. And there was also a lot more resources then. So I think a lot of moms with ADHD, at least from my perspective, are some of, the kindest, most generous, most giving, and really it is a lot easier to motivate yourself to know these things when it's about other people, very service oriented. And so I think that motivation to figure out these things really, once my kids started having the struggles, it really helped me motivate to kind of figure them out for myself.
Okay, we're going to get to all of that, but I just want to understand how in the world you were diagnosed at age 5 as a girl in the 80s or 90s?
Yeah, I'm 44, so 86.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is that possible?
It was a teacher. So I have an older sister. She's 3 years older than me. We're a lot different in terms of, we both have combined type ADHD, but I was more the rule follower. But anyway, so I think a teacher had their child the teacher had some experience with ADHD.
Okay.
So my sister was kind of getting in trouble, mostly I think for like getting up and talking a lot. And, but so the teacher said to my mom, she was like, this child is not trying to get into trouble. There's something else going on. I think you should have her tested. And just in the public school. So it was that teacher saying something. And so my mom had my sister tested. And then as a result, I don't know if I don't know what size. I mean, I was still young. So I think my mom was like, well, let's have you tested too. But it was definitely not common, you know, at all. I didn't know anyone like me. I can remember going to like the nurse for like my medicine at lunch, and it was like there was a couple of little boys, and they were the little boys that would like get in trouble, you know? And I was like the goody two shoes, like teacher's pet type of kid. I mean, I talked a lot. Like there are signs I could see, but for the most part, I liked school. And I 100%, I think if that teacher hadn't said something and my sister hadn't gotten diagnosed, I probably would have gone under the radar and never have been identified.
Right. I mean, I just look at that as a miracle.
Absolutely.
I didn't know any girls with ADHD in my like school career, at least that I knew of. Like that's just absolutely wild to me. I love it. I'm so happy for you. That's so awesome. What was it like? You mentioned like becoming a mom is really what was the catalyst to you understanding ADHD more and just like learning more about what it meant for you. Can you describe that a little bit?
Yes. Yeah. I think, there were other, like in my 20s, I went through a phase where I like took myself off medicine and I went through counseling. Like there were a couple, it's a little more complicated. There were a couple other seasons where I like dug in to understand it and kind of accepted this about myself. But in terms of, I think, understanding that ADHD had a relevant implications on how I did life and not just seeing it as like a limitation, but then like I could actually and needed to actually design life in a way that worked for me. I think I definitely lean into like the perfectionism side of ADHD, like my coping with ADHD, even on medicine, was, because I think so many people, they hit the wall and it's like they're realizing they have ADHD. Well, I kind of have a unique perspective because I was already diagnosed and I was already on medicine and I'd already been in years of therapy. And then it was like life got really hard. Yeah. So it was like I had all these tools and advantages, and yet the way I was doing life still really wasn't working. I needed more. And so part of it was just, and then as I kind of dug into the research, so much of it, as I was reading these parenting books about ADHD, I was like, all of these things apply to me. And I never knew that, like, it was really kind of learning to reparent myself. But so in terms of hitting the wall, it was, I think for a long time, I coped with perfectionism of like being that Pinterest perfect mom. And I had, I would maybe from the outside, like I wasn't drowning yet, but I had really unhealthy coping mechanisms. So I was drinking a lot. I was overspending, like a lot of these kind of secret like things that I think a lot are very common with women with ADHD, especially the ones who are like the perfectionistic kind of bent, like that weren't healthy, that had a lot of shame about. And then as I kind of dug in, it was like those were kind of always there. And then I really started drowning. But my third kid, late 30s, perimenopause, it was like the coping mechanisms were still unhealthy. They were still there, but they were still no longer enough. And I was kind of drowning with the expectation, my own personal expectations of myself, because I was trying to do life like I thought I was supposed to. Like I was just doing all the shoulds of like what a neurotypical person how they should design their life, how my mom life should look. And it was like I could know like the expectations and the demands, the executive functioning demands of my ongoing life were just way too much. And I was just way over capacity. I'd been living over capacity for so long, and it was like massive ADHD burnout. So that was kind of what helped propel me to kind of not just think about managing my ADHD, not just taking medicine, but like, okay, how do I design life in a way that works for me, where I am not so emotionally and mentally and physically depleted on an ongoing basis.
So what were some of the things that you tweaked in your life to make them more ADHD friendly or more just like custom to your brain?
Yeah. I kind of so I tried so many things. I think the ADHD tendency is that we want this like magic bullet. We're like, okay, here's the 100 problems that we see in our life, and we need to find this one solution that addresses all these things. And it's like going to be the magic thing that we're going to implement. And then like once we kind of figure that out, everything is going to work and make sense. And I realized it was like I'd done that over and over and over again.
That's just like finding the right planner, the right system, the right, like all of those, like this will be the thing.
Well, it's all because I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to get my kids off screens, and we're going to go paleo, gluten-free, dairy-free, and we're, and I'm going to work out for 2 hours a day, and I'm going to like whatever, and I'm going to start posting on Instagram 3 times a day to like blow up my business. And I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to start like cleaning the baseboards every day. Like all these, like thinking about every single need that could possibly exist in my family. And like, I need to come up with a solution that addresses all of that at once. And so instead I kind of threw that all out the window. I'm like, that's not working. I mean, I was so burnt out too, that instead I was like, I need to design a life that is actually realistic, that I can actually stick to. So I kind of, and from that's why I've created this system to like help guide people through that. But I really started focusing first like on the daily chaos. Like I gave myself permission. So the kind of the framework that I've developed is like expecting myself to only do 6 to 7 boring things. And so I created this framework where kind of like my life expectations focus on that. But like the core thing is really limiting my executive functioning expectations of myself. And then having kind of an ongoing revolving system where I'm really clear about what matters and then kind of ignore everything else. But I started really small. I started focusing first on like, okay, what can I maintain? Like the daily 3 plus the like self-care. Started there and really focused on getting good at that before I kind of took the whole idea of like that one solution that's going to fit everything. I was like, that doesn't work. So I threw that out the window and started small.
I think that that's so hard for us to start small because just like you said, we want to do the opposite of that. We want to find like
it's not hard enough.
Yeah, it's not hard enough. It's also not flashy enough. It's not fast enough. We want it flashy. We want it fast. We want to feel like we're really going to make a difference, and like lowering expectations and starting small can be such a barrier for us.
This is the other key part of that, is that when I say I decided 6 to 7 boring things, I decided to let the boring things be boring and be really honest about what's boring. Because I think the thing is, one of the reasons why we do that thing where we like want this system that addresses everything is because that's like big and challenging, and that's like kind of dopamine, and that's strategic thinking and all these things that we love. But instead, I was like, I still need those things. I still need the novelty. I still need the stimulation. I still need the challenge. But I'm going to let the boring things be boring, but then make time for those things that I need. So it's like if I have novelty and if I have stimulation and I have mental challenge of things that I actually really want to do, it made it easier to like, start small with the boring things, because I wasn't looking to like come up with this system where the system was what I was getting the dopamine and the stimulation from.
It's like laundry's boring.
Yeah, right. Laundry's boring.
It's going to be boring.
Yeah.
There's no way to make it flashy. If you try to make it flashy, you're going to overdo it. And you're just not sustainable.
Right.
Like let laundry be boring.
Well, and that's what happens is we, like the things, and then, so I'm going to do the boring thing and then I'm going to do something fun. Yeah. Like if you, any parenting book you read about ADHD, it's like, give your kids, be very specific specific tasks, give them rewards, give them encouragement. Like you need to praise and be their biggest cheerleader for the small things that they do and focus on progress and not on, that there's this specific level that they should get to of these things that they should be able to do. But I'm like, that is not how we think about ourselves because we're like, okay, this is what it looks like to be a good mom. And I'm going to get these 10 things done a day instead of like, if you're really focused on parenting yourself, like we should be parenting our ADHD kids. We're like so much kinder, so much gentler. And we're like, okay, I'm going to do the boring task and then I'm going to make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to celebrate that I did the boring task. And that's the part, I think, growing that muscle of like, I did the boring thing and I'm going to be proud of myself for doing this, even if it's like, because there's that other part that's like, that's not enough.
Yep.
That's, you should be doing more. That's easy. Of course you should be able to do the laundry instead, because I think so many of us have this voice, every mom I talk to, and I think this is so common with ADHDers in general, they say like they feel like such a failure because there's all these things they think they should be able to do, but where they're actually really doing a lot already, but they kind of need to get better about, praising themselves or seeing what they do, celebrating what they do.
Honoring the accomplishment.
Right.
And I just put out an episode on this a couple weeks ago. And I think that just like you said, what our brains do is they say, well, yeah, you did it, but anyone can do it. Well, yeah, you did it, but you didn't do it fast enough. It should have been easier. Why was it so hard for you? You're so dumb. Like that's what our brain does. Instead of going like, just like a supportive mom would, oh my gosh, great job. You did it. You did the thing. You did the hard thing. I'm so proud of you for doing it. I now will talk out loud to myself and say things like that. And it is silly, but it works to be able to be like, great job. I'm so glad you did that. That was not fun, but you still did it. That like little bit of self-encouragement, I know that it like is so cringy, but it makes such a big difference.
Well, it makes the barrier lower. So even if the task is boring, because you're like, okay, I did it. And then I can go do something fun. Or then I can, then I'm going to reward myself. And I think that's the other piece of it too, is it's like a lot of times we think, okay, well, if we don't do, all of these like 20 really boring tasks that we expect ourselves to do, we don't earn the kind of fun or the challenge or the, this project that we really are excited about. And I think a big part of it is like I think for me, it wasn't just doing the daily 3. It was kind of then reframing it that like I deserve, like I'm going to do these basic tasks and they're going to help my family. And then, as in time, I'm going to build the confidence because it's rewiring that thought of like, when I see the dishes in the sink, instead of, oh, you're such a bad mom, or like, you're such a mess, or, if someone came in here, they'd be so embarrassed. I'm like, no, I do this once a day. Once a day, I unload the dishwashers and I do the dishes and I have a plan and I'm confident in myself. Like you kind of you're kind of changing that self-talk and building trust in yourself that like, I have a system that is good enough for me and that works. And so I don't feel bad. I did my tasks and I'm going to sit and read this book for 45 minutes and it's going to be really fun. And which is part of like some of those things also help you be more regulated. Yeah. And help you, it kind of has multiple things that really helps you keep going and keep doing the tasks.
Yeah, it makes it more sustainable.
Right.
So that you're not in that burnout phase.
So I think about the ADHD burnout roller coaster, and it is so common because we try to do like 1,000 things on one day. We have like a Saturday where we're like, okay, we're going to clean out the whole house and we're going to clean out every closet and we're going to take the kids to the birthday party and we're going to clean out the garage and we're going to like make a month's worth of meals or whatever. And we do like all these things. And even if it's a high energy day, even if we like do those things but then for like the next week, we're completely exhausted and we overdid it and we overspent. Well, then that next week is going to be super stressful and you're going to be tired and you're going to be cranky and you're going to be dysregulated. And so like that, it's not worth it. Even if you end up doing less, but you do it for all 7 days. And then also on those 7 days, you do something fun for yourself. You might be less productive, but you're going to avoid that crash, that massive crash. So I try to help, like, I think that is a huge part of it. But you have to learn to trust yourself. Because I think a big part of it is is people are like, okay, well, I have the energy now. I've got to like do everything. But it doesn't help us kind of live consistently. And when you have ADHD kids, it's like they need you to, we have to have kind of juice left in the tank to help them regulate and to help support them.
Yes.
And so that ADHD roller coaster might have worked when you were single or before you had kids.
Yep.
But once you're supporting ADHD kids, it like really gets complicated.
Yeah. And then we're treating our kids in ways that we're not proud of. And then that adds to the shame. And then that adds to the unhealthy coping mechanism, like the need for those coping mechanisms that are maybe not as healthy. It is just a whole cycle.
And also then their behavior, you know, if they're not regulated and they're not getting this help that they need, it just makes all of life harder. You know, it makes us less regulated.
So
it's
true.
like even we can't, you know, we want to like hide in our room and recover. But if they need us and they're not getting the support that they need, then it's just going to be messy.
It's so interesting to think about how families have likely lived like this for generations prior to our understanding of ADHD, prior to like our ability to do this self-development work, you know? And I think about like my ancestors and their families and how much generational trauma is passed down because of the exact cycle that you just explained. It's a wild thought.
Oh, I think about it all the time when people are like, oh, it's just trauma. But I'm like, I mean, it just totally makes sense. Like if we're just this new generation of adults getting diagnosed with ADHD and it's like your parents were neurodivergent in some way and they weren't getting the help that they need.
And their
you
parents.
know, yeah, it's like it makes sense that there would be some kind of trauma or even if it's just chaos, or unpredictability or financial instability and like all of those things.
100%.
It's complicated. There's way more things, which I'm like, that is why you need to talk to a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Or psychologist, you know? Like, it's a complicated, there's a lot of things going on. You can't just say it's like the one thing.
It's so true. And we, like growing up, you learn one way of being because you're in this kind of chaotic family and so many people are undiagnosed. And then you come into your own, you know, adulthood and motherhood and you're like, wait a second, I don't really want to repeat that. I don't really want to relive that. Like, how do I just make these adjustments so that we're not just reliving the same patterns? I think we're maybe the first generation that's had that luxury of being able to do that. And I'm really proud of us, Amy.
Yeah, ditto.
I'm really proud of us. Before we move on, I just want to spend just a couple minutes talking about those unhealthy coping mechanisms that you just kind of breeze past them at the beginning. But I think that is where so much of our pain and shame as mothers kind of lives, is getting through the day kind of just like holding on. Yeah, like barely making it. And then kind of secretly going into these unhealthy coping mechanisms. And I was also an overdrinker and definitely like indulging in different areas, like especially social media, in ways that like, you know, it's whatever, it's whatever, but in ways that I knew I wasn't proud of. And can you just speak to the moms who are like, wait a second, that's me. Like, maybe they're using pot, or maybe they're using alcohol, or whatever. Maybe they're overeating, or whatever the thing may be. And there's no shame in that. Like, it's a tool that they're using. And I have also used those tools because I didn't have good coping, like a toolkit. So can you just like give some encouragement to those mamas?
Yes, I would say, I've totally been there. All the things in my 20s, I went to Overeaters Anonymous. I was like, went through eating disorders. I had an unhealthy relationship with food for a long time. And I think learning to eat with ADHD is tricky.
Agreed.
Especially even when you're on medicine.
Agreed.
And then like the alcohol thing, I think it was also because I was very disconnected from my feelings. I think for me, emotional dysregulation looked like avoidance. You know, I was very uncomfortable. You know, I would have these big feelings and I didn't have anything, know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And because I was more the perfectionist good girl, I bottled them up. And I love, there's Dr. Tamara Rosier, who I love. She did a webinar on attitude years ago. But she was talking about, you know, kind of emotional release and how we either kind of go outward with big emotions or we go inward with big emotions. There's like, I think she calls like fire breather. And I have some fire breathers in my family, but then there's the ones who are self-destructive. And that was 100% me. So, and I think as I've had kids and I would get more dysregulated, the fire breather would come out some.
Yes.
But for many, many years, it was more the, you know, my way, my coping would, instead of lashing out to those around me, I would go internal with it. And so it was kind of like the shame, the self-beating yourself up. And so like, I think alcohol is, I would use alcohol a lot to just quiet that. And also because it was like, I didn't feel like I could. And then at a certain point, it was like, I was just so disconnected because I just didn't know how to express my emotions. So one of the things that I like to tell people too is it's like the healing and learning to grow and manage ADHD is not a quick fix. You know, there's the layers,
That's
you
like
know.
the worst news, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I try to help
is.
people. It's like the first layer is kind of like the getting out of burnout, getting out of
Yes.
chaos. And then it's like, because I do think some of that deeper healing work of like being in therapy and learning to manage your emotions. It's like, and just like I was saying before, we want to find this one solution that addresses all of the things, all of our scary parts at once, instead of just giving ourselves permission to like lean into one area at a time. And like, I know that this is something I need to address. And for me, I think part of it was like, I knew that this like drinking was like a thing. I had a shame about it, but I read so much like sober fiction and like addiction recovery and all these books, but I was like, that never quite felt like what it was. It never really, I didn't feel like, I mean, I know I had addictive tendencies, but I didn't feel like it didn't seem quite right. But the more I leaned into it, like understanding my ADHD brain, that was like, it's the root is my ADHD. The root is that I need to learn how to manage my brain and my body. And I think also part of it was just, I'm combined type ADHD. So if you can see, just watch me, you can probably tell that, you know, I need to move a lot. And I think for me, when I realized that these deeper issues, that I really had to get serious about managing my ADHD and designing in a life because it's like it would be great to be able to like just do life like everyone else. But the byproduct of me trying to do that was these things that I had so much shame about, and that that impacted my life, and that it wasn't just, you know, these secret things. Like I really didn't want to be doing these things. So so I think for me, that was part of it. And I think so many people, I kind of assume that when I talk to moms with ADHD, that like when someone says like, oh, I think I'm ADHD or I am ADHD, that like there's other things going on. Because the more I talk to people, it's pretty much extremely common, whether it's, you know, overspending, overeating, over drinking, like there's just things that you don't know about behind the surface. And so, but you don't have to stay there. You know, there is hope. You know, there is 100% hope of like learning to manage and thrive with ADHD, but you have to bring it to the light too, you know, and take the shame, you know, because what happens is when we keep being ashamed, then it's like we can't get the help that we need.
Everyone with ADHD knows what to do to improve their lives. You go to bed at a reasonable time and you wake up early, make a list, cross the things off the list in order, manage your time well. Yeah, we know what to do, but ADHD is not a disorder of not knowing what to do. It's a disorder of knowing exactly what to do, but not being able to get yourself to do it. That's why ADHD is so frustrating. We're smart and we want to succeed, but we can't get ourselves to do the things that we know we should do in order to make improvements. That's why I created Focused. I'm a life coach with multiple certifications, and since 2019, I've spent thousands of hours coaching adults with ADHD. Time for me to focus on you. Hello. Welcome to your coaching call. I am going to be coaching you today on relationships. I know what it takes to help an adult with ADHD go from hot mess express to grounded and thriving. Focused is my monthly coaching membership where we go deep and we get to the root cause of what holds us back with ADHD. I'll teach you how to understand your ADHD brain, regulate your emotions, and accept yourself, flaws and all. With this foundation, we build the skills to improve life with ADHD. And not only do you get skills and tools in Focused, but you're surrounded by a huge community of adults with ADHD who are also doing the work of self-development right alongside of you. Dr. Ned Hallowell says healing happens in community, and I have absolutely found this to be true. As a matter of fact, listen to what actual Focus members have to say about being in this program.
What can I say about Focused?
Full community of people who have issues similar to you, and no one judge you.
Focused has really supported me with my difficulties and asking for help. I've been encouraged and cheered on by the community.
I really like that you can do as much or as little as you want. It's not just about the volume of the content, it's about the quality.
Focus has helped me understand ADHD better.
I would recommend this to anyone.
I would thoroughly recommend Focused. I can confidently say that this is one of the best decisions that I have made for myself.
So if you're an adult with ADHD who wants to figure out how to be motivated from the inside out and make real lasting changes in your life, join hundreds of others from around the world in Focused. Click the link in the episode description to check it out. Well, I just really appreciate your willingness to share that and to be able to name like, okay, I was an overeater and I was an overdrinker and like those kinds of things. The more that we can be forthcoming with that, I think it gives other people permission. Like, oh, if she can say that, if she can own that, maybe there are safe places where I can own that as well. And I totally agree bringing it to the light and being able to name it and have other people be like, yes, same. Me too. It is so, so, so important. There's so much healing in that.
And also, I feel very called, especially because one of the things for me that was so like this huge light bulb moment was reading how much perfectionism was a part of ADHD and how it was. I read this one study that said it was the number one comorbidity. And I think for me, one of the things that was always kind of felt off is, even as a kid, being this like straight A student, going to the office to get my medicine with like these little boys who like had C's and were always getting in fights. It like always felt off, And then even you see these memes on social media and it's all like the mom who's like a total hot mess. Right. And it's like, that wasn't my story. Like I might have felt like a hot mess, but I was more than anything the mom who was like so, tight, fist clenched, like with the Pinterest perfect party and the, trying to like keep everything together but the result was those secret behind the door things. And so it might have looked like I projected this image of having it all together, but behind, closed doors, there was like just these things that I was dealing with that were a reflection of my ADHD and of my ADHD struggles. But it wasn't, I didn't identify with that just, kind of hot mess thing.
I think that's so important because ADHD doesn't look just one way, right? And so being able to show different sides of it and different images of what ADHD might look like, I think is really important. And I always love to ask the question, at what cost? Like you were holding it together, but at what cost? You were having the perfect, kid's birthday party, but at what cost? And that I think is just such an important question because that's when I think, especially women can go, oh, because so many women aren't diagnosed until so much later in life. And it's because they've been able to hold it together, because they have those perfectionistic tendencies, because they've been socialized to be the good girl. And so they go through college and they get good grades, but then at what cost? Like, what does it look like behind the scenes? What does it look like when you're alone? What does it look like when you are dysregulated and don't know what to do with those big emotions? What are we reaching for in those moments, right? It's like we always have to consider the cost of like that picture perfect look.
Well, and it's when it's yourself, like I think that's where it was like, I think maybe the big difference was, okay, I was so used to going inward, the self-damaging, but then at a certain point that began to impact my kids too.
Talk about
it. Was
it.
like
Can you
that
talk
was
about
like,
it?
yeah, well, it's like that's where I'm not just it's one thing when I'm, thinking negative thoughts about myself.
Sure.
But when I'm, turning to alcohol, like waiting at 5 o'clock and then wanting to like go hide in my room with wine and just completely zone out and not be there because I'm so overstimulated. I'm so dysregulated. They're so loud and
They're
have
so
these big emotions.
loud.
And I'm like, I just can't anymore. So like,
Yes.
that's the thing that, and then I was like, began seeing these things on social media about like being regulated. They're dysregulated, but you have to be regulated. I'm like, I have no idea what in the heck that means.
Yeah.
Like, how do I be regulated because they're just driving me crazy?
Yes.
And so it's like there was that, and then I think for me the real clincher was like when I had my daughter, and it was like I was going deeper, understanding my ADHD story, understanding like unpacking the shame, and then it was. I think so many of us have this you're too much thing, but I'm like, but also like they're too much.
Yep.
So I'm like, I don't want to project that, but also at the same time, they are a lot, So like, how do I get more? Like I need more capacity if I want to be able to like let my family be loved and seen and not, projects that, generational thing that so many of us had. Like, how do I end that? I need more. I need more emotional capacity to be able to deal, to love and support them. And so, it wasn't just because I think the thing is like, oh, I just need to stop drinking as much. I had to really learn how to manage my ADHD, how to not get to 5 o'clock and be completely depleted.
Yep.
Because it wasn't just and when I talk about like home and family management, I'm like, it's not just about getting the stuff done. It's about getting to, the end of the day and having the emotional and physical and mental energy to still be there, especially when I have 3 neurodivergent kids who need my support and help in that time.
They need homework help. They need regulation. They need to recover from their day.
Right.
And they need your help to do it.
Right.
And you're already depleted. So like how? Because
the neurotypical way of like doing life like everyone else, when I tried to do that, that was just the natural result of me getting to 5 p.m. completely depleted with nothing more. And so the only tool that I had was going to alcohol, numbing, escaping. Yeah.
Disengage from the family. Numb with alcohol. Yeah.
So it was like, how do I get to a place where I feel good? And then there's also the shame because it's like, oh, I should be able to do this, or you should be able to make dinner, and like all the. So it's like, how can we do life or design our day differently so that I can not be in that place? Yeah, so that was kind of like the biggest question. So it wasn't just like, so how do I manage my ADHD and manage my home? And also part of it is like the real thing of like the clutter and the stuff in the home and the meal. So it's like, okay, at 5 o'clock, I've got to like make dinner, and then I want to hide, because it's not just the noise, it's also the clutter and the stuff. And it's like, so how do I deal with all of this in a way that like works, and not like getting it all done perfectly, but like me being emotionally and physically present and getting in bed and feeling like proud of myself instead of feeling like, oh yeah, you did it again. You drank a bottle of wine. You numbed out. You yelled at the kids.
Yeah.
Because
I know
like,
that.
So it's like, what are you like getting in bed and feeling like I showed up. I didn't perfect, but like I am doing enough.
Yes.
I'm doing the best I can do.
So what are some of the tools that you use to make sure that you're getting the most important things done, but still having capacity at the end of the day to be a person, to be a mother, to be a wife? What are some of the things that you can share with our listeners?
Yes. Well, I will say 100% this work isn't personal. There's no, it requires introspection because it has to be true for you. You know, we
Right.
all are motivated by, you know, interest, passion, stimulation. So the kind of path that I lead people through, so I created this book, but it started with, I have a course in community where I developed this system to lead people through it. But it's really like at the core, it's just the idea of limiting executive functioning by having an ongoing expectation. So it's 6 to 7 boring things a day, 3 daily tasks. And so these tasks repeat. So every single day, the 3 same daily tasks. So part of it is limiting prioritization, decision-making, all that stuff. So like we aren't starting each day with a blank planner trying to decide what is important. So we start with like the 3 daily tasks. And this is kind of for the boring side. So 3 daily tasks, 2 weekly tasks, 1 monthly task, and then kind of 1 extra. So this is kind of the way that we kind of budget the executive functioning boring stuff, knowing that parenting is going to take a big piece of that, of our executive functioning. So it's like, okay, I know that my kids, I'm planning to like be really intentional and kind of have this budget and plan for what's a priority. And so in that process usually takes time of like, you find your daily 3 and then you kind of identify what are like the core. I think of it as from the chaos perspective of like, first we're going to have like less chaotic days and then weeks and then months and then seasons. So we're not trying to master it all. We're kind of like giving ourselves time. But then a big part of that, especially from the day, is understanding, okay, there's, that's keeping like holding more in reserve. But then we also want to be getting energy. What are things? So we want to be watching like what energy is going out. So we want to be intentional about that. We want to like hold that in reserve so that we're giving it to the things that really matter to our family. And you get to decide that. Yeah. And I think that just that in itself is a big shift for a lot of people. You're letting go of like the perfect standard, but like what matters the most to you and to your family. And it's going to like just focusing on the, I talk about like the basic tasks of daily life, like focusing on those things. And then, so that's like what energy is going out. And then what are you doing to get energy? And I think this is more complicated depending, it can look a couple different ways. I think there's a lot of moms who are, especially if there's maybe stay-at-home moms who have a lot of guilt about doing anything that is energizing, but we're interest-driven. And so just like our kids, we think of all these ways to like help them have their own interests and have things that they're good at and put a spotlight on their natural talents. Like we have to do that with ourselves too. And then there are some moms who are ADHD who have found what they like and they maybe need help with a little bit of boundaries around it so that they are really more strategic, so that they're not trying to pursue like every, challenge or idea, so that because even things that we like can, is using our executive functioning and is kind of like gonna depleting us in some ways. So being really strategic. So so I kind of think about, you kind of have to look at both sides. We're budging. And especially in the beginning, if you're coming from a place of burnout, you're going to go slower on the budgeting, the going out, and you're going to really focus on building up the things that are energizing and stimulating to you, because that's how we get more energy. And that's what makes it easier for us to stay consistent, because we're not trying to, meet our need for novelty through like systems and coming up with throwing it out the window and starting from scratch. Yeah. So
would you mind sharing your daily 3 and like your 1 weekly task? Like give us examples of that.
Yeah. Okay. So for my daily 3, these are my kind of 3 things. In my family, this is kind of a side note. The next people always ask, like, what does your spouse do? In our family, I do a lot of the, we have 3 neurodivergent kids, and so there's a lot of parenting. My husband doesn't my husband is incredibly supportive, helps a lot. But for me, what was the most essential thing is to identify what I could, just my capacity, what I could handle, and identifying what mattered the most to me. And so I'm going to ask you to kind of put that to the side, though that is an important piece of it. Okay, so my daily 3. My daily 3 is unload the dishwasher, load the dishwasher. It's like clean sink, clean kitchen, wipe down the kitchen counters. So it's kind of like that happens once a day. So my expectation isn't that that's happening all the time, like 10 times a day. Once a day.
Love it.
So like clear expectation once a day. So once that happens, I unload the dishwasher, load the dishwasher. Like there's going to still be dishes there, and that's okay.
You have a family of 5,
right?
correct?
So so for like 10 minutes, it's like all looks nice. But like if I can maintain that, the level of chaos is much lower, Okay, so that, and then 1 load of laundry. So I like wash and dry, and then it goes in a big basket. I don't put it away. Okay. So wash and dry. And then think about all the meals. So what's your breakfast? So I usually do this in the morning. Like what's your breakfast? Pack lunches. What am I going to eat for lunch? Is there something for me to eat? And then, like, what are we going to have for dinner? So it's not like cooking the thing, but, and I have very simple meals. So like, might be taking something out of the freezer, or we're going to have tacos tonight. Okay, we have cheese, we have tortillas, we have sour cream. Yep. Okay, good. So like, if we need to do a last minute Walmart order or something, I could like do that. So those are kind of the 3 things. So if those 3 things are happening, it's like 30 minutes. If that, usually it's like when the kids are eating breakfast. So those kind of are my kind of daily 3. So in a different family, you might already have a system for someone else is loading the dishwasher or whatever. But for me, if those 3 things happen, like even on a low energy day where I want to be in bed and watching 1,000 Gilmore Girl episodes, I'm like, I can manage those 3 things. Yes. And if I stay on top of those 3 things, my home, I avoid that place where it's like, chaos, overwhelm. Yeah. Because for me, the clutter, if there's like 3 days worth of dishes, that's like,
100%. And then what's your 1 weekly task?
Okay. So the weekly, it's actually a list. So the thing is 3 daily, 2 weekly. So the weekly change. So I have a list of 14 weekly tasks.
Oh my gosh.
So what happened is, so it's breaking it up. So like fold laundry is 1.
Sure.
Put laundry away is 1.
Okay.
For a while, if I was like, now I have a cleaning lady, but for a while I was like, okay, like wash towels is 1. Clean bathrooms. So depending on how much you're outsourcing, like it might be different, but so like order groceries. So the idea is you want it to be very specific.
Yes.
So it might be, for example, I talk to a lot of moms who are like, I have no rhythm with the groceries. It's totally random. So it's like if they're trying to go to the grocery store every week or every day, or every 3 days, like you're adding a lot more executive functioning.
I've been there.
So let's just figure out that one thing.
Yes,
okay, let's just get, because if you can do it in fewer tasks.
Huge.
So going to the grocery store is a task, but if you're like, hey, we're just going to order it and have it delivered, like that's 1 task. So how can we break things down so that you have it? And then the plan is I kind of assume 14 tasks that we're probably going to have an off week a month. So like say clean the bathrooms is one of my thing. If I clean the bathrooms 3 weeks a month, that's good.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like what are the, so you want to be specific to yourself because you want it to have it be very specific and clear, but also kind of flexible too. Because I'm like, I say clean the bathrooms, like some weeks that looks like wipe down the counters and wipe the mirrors, and that's like a 5-minute ordeal.
True.
Some days that's a 30-minute, I'm getting out the bleach and scrubbing everything, and it's like.
And do you just base that on capacity? Like, how am I feeling this week? As far as like whether or not it's the 5-minute wipe down or the 30-minute scrub.
I kind of go with how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And I don't think we do that enough. And I mean with everything.
And it makes it easier to maintain it. Because the whole
100%.
point is, what can I maintain? So if 100%. I'm like, clean the bathroom equals equals
Scrub with
bleach
a
every single
toothbrush,
thing
every
and get on the
single-
tile. Yeah, I'm
Right,
like,
it's
okay, well,
like-
I'm not going to maintain that.
I can't do that every week.
Right.
But every once in a while, I'm going to have a burst of energy.
Exactly.
And be like, this place needs a good scrubbing. I'm going to take care of it.
Exactly.
But
so you
that's,
can always go up and do more.
yes,
But
I love that.
And then I also kind of think like even the things like, so oftentimes, so I have those weekly. And then, because what happens is then I'm like, oh, when I'm in the bathroom, it's clean the bathroom and I have time and I'm like, oh man, that light bulb needs to get changed.
Yeah.
I'm going to go change the light bulb.
Yeah.
So it's like, I might do more when I
Right.
have the thing.
Right.
But I'm also not going to be totally derailed
I love this.
by,
I think just knowing what is good enough.
exactly for you.
Yes.
And not anybody else.
Yes.
So it's like if I clean the bathroom once a week and someone drops in, my bathroom is never disgusting.
Right.
But it's never also not perfect. But that's okay.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? So if someone
It's
pops
never
in,
going to be sparkling every
Yeah.
single day.
right.
Maybe once a month, it's going to be so sparkly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love just knowing like what is the baseline. Like last night we had frozen chicken nuggets
Perfect.
and frozen like French fries that I made in the air fryer. And I was like, okay, number one, we're not eating out. Number two, these are like the healthiest frozen chicken nuggets that I can find. So these are the healthiest fries I can find. And that's the baseline. I'm still providing food for my family.
Mhm.
We do eat out, but it wasn't like a DoorDash meal. I'm happy about that. Right. And like, I can sustain that. I can't sustain cooking a real meal every night. It's not going to happen. And then I'm just going to like, if that's the standard, I'm going to be real sad.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real sad because I can't maintain that standard.
Absolutely. Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of knowing for me, it was like I had to realize even with like meals, I need easy dinners. Like I'm always low energy at night. So I'm like, especially during the week. During the weekend, I might do something more complicated.
Yeah.
But like I need dinner to be easy.
Mhm.
I need to not have to think about it a lot. So like the more kind of rotation of like having easy meals
Mhm.
and knowing yourself. It's really about self-awareness and self-acceptance and not trying to like change everything.
Mhm.
We can get better at certain things, but the more we kind of accept our limitations and learn to live within them, the happier we're going to be.
That's the hardest part. I think for us as humans, I tell my community that is the work of our lives, because what we are constantly thinking is, Amy, give me the quick tips for home management
Yeah.
so that I can do it well, so that I can accept myself.
Mhm.
Like I'll accept
Yes.
myself.
Once I do this thing, once I perfect it, once
100%.
I level up, then I'm going to like figure it out.
I'll
and be
accept
good.
myself
Yeah.
then, but I'm not going to accept myself until I get to that point. And it's like, no, you've got it backwards. Like you've got to start with like, okay, I am just fine,
Mhm.
just the way I am. And I can accept that. And from that place, I can make some productive changes.
And it's okay that this is hard for me and I don't like doing this.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like then
And it should be
yeah.
hard. I have ADHD.
Yeah.
This should be hard. Like meal planning should be hard. Now, I can get better at it. I can work at it, but like I'm sorry, I'm never going to love it.
Here, it's like, and you also you can choose how many things you can kind of focus on and get better at.
Yes, it's so true.
And
The
also making it
priorities.
easier for you.
Yes, that's
Make
so
it easier
good.
for yourself.
Okay, so you're an ADHD mom parenting ADHD kids. Remind me how old your kids are.
14, 10, and 6.
What do you think are the most challenging things about motherhood as an ADHDer, parenting ADHD kiddos?
The noise.
Yes.
Well,
Talk to me about the noise.
Initially I would say the noise. It's also kind of the diversity of needs, especially for
Mhm.
stimulation.
Mhm.
So my husband and my oldest son both have autism diagnosis too. I am definitely a sensory seeker. My husband is not. So like he would love classical. His kind of ideal regulating environment would be like classical music on, the lights dimmed down,
Adorable.
like candle lit, where I'm like, I want every single light on. I want like fun, upbeat music, like,
Strobe
and I
light.
need it. Yeah. Like I, need the stimulation and, I need to move. Like he doesn't like, for him, sometimes like having visual distractions is harder.
Yeah.
So it's just that balance of like meeting everyone's kind of need for stimulation and downtime. And it's not perfect. So part of it's like learning to support each other and give each other grace when, and I think am a good advocate for my kids too, because it's like, sometimes, and we talk a lot about regulation and things that we need, try to advocate for ourselves, but it's a tricky dance, figuring out how to help everyone get what they need. Especially, I mean, I would say the biggest thing, like getting them exercise when we're exhausted, things like that.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of trading off and thinking through like what everyone needs. But it takes a lot of space, like mental space and energy and time.
Yeah.
Just getting everyone the stimulation that they need. So
Or the calm.
right, the downtime. Yes. Summers are always hard trying to figure that out. It's gotten easier, I think, especially as my oldest has gotten older. And each of the kids is different. Like, it's funny, all my kids will be in high school alone, because they're all 4 years apart. But it's like, I just feel like their experiences will all be very different because their need for, like, my youngest is 100% extrovert. She's the night owl. She wants to be like with people all day long, and the rest of us need more recovery time. And so just balancing all that is tricky,
Yes. What, as we wrap up here, how would you like to end with encouragement for ADHD parents, ADHD moms who are probably parenting ADHD or at least neurodivergent kiddos? What do you think is the thing that they need to hear the most?
I think they need to hear to focus on themselves. I think the most important thing we can do for our kids is to model. And you can read all these things about parenting, how we parent. But if you're parenting yourself like a neurotypical person, if you're chastising yourself, if you're beating yourself up, if you're self, talk, if you're doing all those things to yourself, like that's what they're going to take away. Even if you're telling them, your brain is whatever, they're going to listen to what you do. And so doing the work to learn to manage your ADHD and to reparent yourself, I think is the most effective thing that you could do for them long term. And it makes you much more compassionate and patient. Because when you can see those things in yourself and you're like, it makes it when you see it's not just a struggle, your kid that's like, whatever, like their hyperactivity. When you're more attuned to what's going on with yourself in your body, in your brain, it is so much easier to identify and to have compassion and to have patience with your kids. So, and I know it's complicated with moms that like they're trying to support their kids and there's only so much time and so much energy and in terms of investing in therapy and support and all those things. But, it doesn't have to be for forever, but I would say prioritize figuring out managing your own ADHD and it will
the trickle down effect.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be so much more effective long term for you and for them.
I completely co-sign that answer. Not that you needed it, but I absolutely do. And I will say, anecdotally speaking, in my own life, I couldn't hold space for my kids' emotions because I didn't know how to hold space for my own emotions. And so dysregulation was running rampant in my home because I was neglecting my own needs. I was neglecting myself, my own emotional regulation. And so I had no idea how to be there for my kids. And it wasn't until I turned inward, just like you're saying, and like made that a priority, which I don't think many people want to do. Like, yes, we're busy, but I think, and sometimes it's an access issue, like a privilege and access issue. But I think a lot of the times we just feel really uncomfortable, like with vulnerability and with the squishy insides, but being able to build that relationship with yourself and build the capacity to regulate then allows you, just like you said, to be there for your kids. And I don't know any other way to do it.
I truly don't. I don't know how you could.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
I really
you can't, because
don't.
if you're like, you have to be regulated to support them. If you don't know how to be regulated, if you don't know what that feels like, then you'll never be able to be there for them.
So true.
And the thing is it's how ADHD brains work. In terms of, we don't want to be told what to do.
I know.
We want to see what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So like modeling for them is truly going to help them more.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to see what you do.
So
And
good.
if you can, and if you're not, you know, prioritizing therapy, or you're not managing your own emotions, like if you're like that those are the things that are going to really teach them.
Yeah.
It's not just, you know, do this and then do this. It's like, do this, and that's how you do that.
That's so good. All right. Tell us about your book, my friend.
Yes.
Tell us about your book. Where can we find you? Give us all the Amy info.
Okay. Well, my book is called Master the Mundane, and it is available everywhere books are sold. My website is www.amymariehann.com. I am on Instagram and Facebook as Amy Marie Hann. And yes, so it is really for anyone with executive functioning struggles. I mean, it's going to help. If you are wondering if you have ADHD or aren't sure if you should pursue a diagnosis, it'll help bring clarity. But really, my system is really for anyone who has executive functioning struggles. It'll kind of give you a framework for not just, you know, it's not just hacks. It's that framework to help you kind of live within your limitations, to build a capacity and then kind of manage your capacity on an ongoing basis so that you aren't depleted and going into ADHD burnout.
I love it. We'll link all of that in the show notes. Go buy her book, Master the Mundane, How to Manage Life, Home, and Family as a Mom with ADHD. Amy, thank you so much for being here. This is so much fun.
Thank you for having me. This
yes,
is great.
Great. Thanks.